Hello, welcome to our presentation. We will be talking about the history of rockets, and how it works and stuff. You might see Minecraft parkour in the background. This is to get your attention. We will also might pause the video for you to laugh or get your attention again. I will also be using this robot voice because I don't have a mic. Anyways, let's start. When you hear the word rocket you might think of this rocket. However, for the majority of time rockets looked like this. This design was a gunpowder barrel attached to an arrow. However, before we dive deep into its history, we gotta talk about how it works. Basically, a rocket works by ejecting mass at high speeds. It uses Newton's third law to propel itself off of the ground. Newton's third law describes how if something is at motion, it will always have an opposite and equal force. For example, if you jump onto a trampoline, you kinda push into the trampoline for a split second. The push into the trampoline is the equal force, because you were originally falling. But the opposite force is when the trampoline reacts and springs you up. This is how the Newton's cradle works. And this image I found perfectly shows what I am talking about. Alright, so before we get into the history lessons I would like to see if anyone gets my question right. Hello gentlemen. When did you think the rocket was invented?
I think it was made in 1960s when the first Apollo mission was launched.
No. The rocket was invented in the 1600s when they started using fireworks and stuff.
No, but how did the astronauts land on the moon? Aliens?
Well, guess what? You guys are all wrong.
Then who is correct?
I am right. The term rocket was invented in 1232 when the Chinese invented a gunpowder arrow. Robert and Halton, you guys would have answered it correctly if you paid attention to the video. That's right guys, pay attention now, because things are about to get crazy. Although the invention of the rocket was in 1232, the fundamentals and ideas of the rocket was first invented in Rome, 400 BC. It was a small wooden machine that can use steam to push glide itself. At the end of the bird, was a small bulb to boil water and make steam, which powers the pigeon. The pigeon is then placed on this rail thing so it can glide safely. Next up on the timeline is this sphere attached to a bowl. Inside of the bowl is boiling water that creates steam. Most Roman inventions were powered by steam. The steam then flows through these pipes and into the sphere, that has two smaller pipes to push the steam out. When the pipes release steam, the sphere is rotated due to the reaction of the force. This will make a turbine, that can help power stuff. Now the reason why it has a little bit of rocket science is when the steam exits through the pipes. Newton's laws are also part of it. By the way, Newton wasn't even born yet. In the 1500s, fireworks were very popular around Europe. The demand for better and cooler fireworks pushed Johann Schmidl to make a new firework. This particular rocket is called a step rocket. Inside of the rocket hides another one, and can be used when the main rocket burns out. This design is actually used in many modern rockets that need to fly high into the sky. Now is the time to explain about how rocket nozzles work. A rocket nozzle is basically this piece on the bottom of the rocket. It helps push the fuel out more efficiently, but explaining this is actually really complicated for any of us grade 6 and 7s. So I'm going to explain it in an oversimplified way. First off, fuel and oxidizer meet each other in the combustion chamber, and it gets really hot. The mixture creates a slow, high-pressure gas. That gas will be forced to push out of the throat of the nozzle. This makes fast, high-velocity gas that can push against stuff. But there's a problem. In space, it's a vacuum. The only way to move is to react to yourself. So, you want to expel a large amount of gas at a high amount of velocity to accelerate yourself slowly. That's why you need so much gas to leave Earth. Anyways, the gas is then shot out of the nozzle and into space. I hope you understand whatever I just said, but if you don't, just look at this simple diagram I found on Google. Mr. Huang, if you're there, please explain it to us in the future.
What the hell?
Okay, now we have a lot of inventions made for rockets. The Congreve rocket was an artillery rocket made in Britain for a war in India in the 1800s. but was actually invented by the armies of modern southern India in 1780s. Robert Goddard made a really cool small research purpose rocket that sparked the idea for using rockets to go to space in the Soviet Union in the 1920s. Unfortunately, many inventions were made for the purpose of war. The V-2 rocket was developed to bomb Allied cities during World War II. It was the first guided ballistic missile created. The most exciting day of many people's lives was when the Soviet Union launched the Sputnik 1. The Sputnik 1 was the first satellite ever to be launched into orbit. The rocket used for it was massive. Space travel back in 1950 was science fiction. The launching of the Sputnik was the start of the space race, and the Soviet Union also sent Yuri Gagarin into space, making him the first man to go to space. He orbited the Earth, but when an error occurred he ended up landing in Kazakhstan, which was part of the Soviet Union. He landed in a farm field with his suit still on while dragging his parachute. He told the farm owner he needed to call Moscow. The Soviet Union has won the race. Or, did they? The Apollo 11 mission was a very precise and common goal in the space race: land on the Moon. On July 20, 1969, they successfully launched the Saturn V, which looked like this. The Saturn V was made up of many stages just like the STEP rocket. These stages comprised of 3 pieces that help launch the command module and lunar module to the Moon. The command module was where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin would stay as they wait to reach the Moon. Again, this topic is too complicated to discuss into more details. Once the stages 1, 2, 3 was used, they ejected the lunar module to land on the Moon. Here's footage. Rockets are basically a cylinder-shaped machine that can move up by using Newton's third law. They range from being very simple to the most complex things humanity has built. Rockets play a huge role in the space industry and can help us achieve new discoveries. Anyways, since it's 12 as I make this video, I will be ending this video here.